Today to congratulate the Brentsville High School girls flag football team on winning the inaugural flag football championship. This fall marked the first year for girls flag football as a club sport in Prince William County, and the girls flag football team was part of a growing trend. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the country. 12 Prince William High School teams competed in an 8-game season and a postseason tournament. And on Saturday, Brentsville defeated Patriot High School 15-6, completing a perfect 11-0 season. This victory for Brentsville High School reflects their teamwork and determination, and they are really good. I actually checked out some of their highlights, and together we can turn this moment into a brighter future for serving people and for
What are you going to do? Take like 5 minutes. Okay, come on.
Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the Lightbridge High School marching band for being invited to march in the 2027 London Parade. This is a huge honor. This is a really big deal. And they were actually the first to be announced as being a part of that parade of all the high schools. And they are really good. Actually, I had a chance to hear them perform live and be there when they were awarded this honor. They even played Golden Team Up Demon Hunters, and I was incredibly deep. And so I appreciate them doing that. I appreciate them representing their community so well. Congratulations to Director Dan Adams and the entire Lightbridge community, and good luck in 2027. I yield time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Self, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize 22 of our nation's finest veterans. These individuals are exceptional American heroes who demonstrated selfless commitment to serving our nation and their communities. This is a moment to acknowledge those who have sacrificed much and devoted all to safeguard our country. This year, Texas 3rd District
Hello. Anybody here? Knock.
Exhibited remarkable service, leadership, integrity, and dedication. These veterans represent true role models within our community, deserving our utmost respect, acknowledgement, and honor. The veterans from Texas 3rd Congressional District receiving the 2025 Veteran Commendation Award are as follows. Sergeant Christopher Acevedo, U.S. Army. Captain Travis Mills, U.S. Army. Major Gary Billings, U.S. Marine Corps. Second Lieutenant Charles Newbecker, U.S. Army. Master Sergeant Fernando Cruz Jr., U.S. Marine Corps. Senior Chief Petty Officer Vincent Riggs, U.S. Navy. Senior Airman David Davis, U.S. Air Force. Major Philip Shortino, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant David Dubay, U.S. Air Force. Senior Airman Danny Stasek, U.S. Air Force. Staff Sergeant Robert Dubay, U.S. Air Force. Sergeant Willie Frank Stevenson, U.S. Army. Master Sergeant Patrick Irvin, U.S. Air Force. Captain Ian Sullivan, U.S. Marine Corps. Sergeant Ayman Hatwa, U.S. Army. Colonel Dick Thompson, Jr., U.S. Air Force. Sergeant Paul David Hoke, U.S. Army. Chief Petty Officer Michael Thompson, Jr., U.S. Navy. Petty Officer 2nd Class James Johnson, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Frank Jr., U.S. Marine.
Right there.
Command Master Chief Petty Officer Robert Jordan, U.S. Navy. Gunnery Sergeant Nick Mendoza, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps. These 22 veterans, I salute you. God bless you, and God bless America.
Hey, how are you?
Mr. Speaker,
What is
I
that?
rise today to honor Captain Carol Young McGibbon, a distinguished graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Commissioned into the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in 1980 as part of the historic first class of female graduates, Captain McGibbon served our nation with distinction in leadership positions in Germany and beyond. Following her active duty service, Mrs. McGibbon dedicated 22 years to mentoring future Army leaders, assisting over 165 candidates in earning admission to West Point. Since 2003, Captain McGibbon has been a West Point admissions representative, and since 2006, the Congressional District Coordinator for Texas 3rd Congressional District. In that capacity, she served as the West Point Liaison Officer for the successive members of Congress, beginning with Congressman Sam Johnson in 2006 and 2018. Recognized by peers and leaders alike, Mrs. McGibbon received the Congressional Veteran Commendation Award from Congressman Sam Johnson in 2017 and the Ray Coleman Service Award from the West Point Society of North Texas in 2023. Captain McGibbon's legacy of service reaches well beyond her professional achievements. She met her late husband, Kevin Vance McGibbon, while they were classmates at the United States Military Academy, and they married in October of 1981 after graduation. Captain Kevin McGibbon served as an infantry officer in the U.S. Army stationed in Germany during the Cold War from 1980 to
So you gotta
1985,
about my work, I just
earning
kept
his
on saying
Ranger
I'm
Tad
working.
in airborne wings. Together, they raised 3 children who continue the proud tradition of military service, including officers and graduates of West Point and the U.S. Air Force. The Army Lacrosse Endowment stands as a testament to the enduring commitment of Carol and Kevin McGibbon to the values of West Point and the U.S. Army. Carol McGibbon's dedication to West Point and to our nation embodies the highest ideals of duty, honor, and country. Therefore, I honor Captain Carol McGibbon for her lifetime of service to the United States, to West Point, and to the countless young men and women whose lives she has helped shape. And we extend our gratitude and best wishes upon her retirement as Academy Liaison Officer for West Point. The enduring legacy Captain Carol McGibbon leaves at West Point stands as a beacon for those who aspire to lead and serve, ensuring the Academy's proud tradition endures for generations to come. May God bless Captain Carol McGibbon. May God bless the United States of America. I yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from New Mexico, Ms. Stansberry, for 5 minutes.
Morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would love to just say welcome back to the House of Representatives. This is our first full week back after the shutdown and the 54 days of lockout that we experienced here in this chamber after a completely wasteful, avoidable, and painful shutdown that not only harmed families, workers in our communities, but cost the country billions of dollars. It did not result ultimately in the fight
Hello?
to end the attacks on our healthcare. Rather than coming back this week after our shutdown, the long shutdown industry, to address the real issues at the heart of this disease, lowering healthcare costs, addressing the healthcare cliff,
Lay down.
the cost of food,
Go on
addressing
your table.
the cost of housing. What are we doing here?
Lay down.
Attacking our public lands
No,
and
lay down.
beating them up for oil and gas drilling. This week, our colleagues across the aisle, fresh from their multi-week vacation, have come with a whole slew of special acts by special interests in the oil and gas industry. We have HJ Res 130, the Congressional Review Act to reverse a resource management plan that was developed with tribal consultation and public benefit
No,
to open the
when you
door
start
to
to stand,
schools
you
development in
turn it
an
on.
area where communities have been abundantly clear that they
you
do
do
not
like a
want
stand.
these attacks on these
I
public
didn't
lands
think
because of the threats
we're gonna
to climate
have
change,
to
to
say.
public health, and to their
But you
future.
know what I'm talking
Why are they ignoring what these communities have already said? And yet here we are voting on legislation this week that would repeal community-based strategies to protect our public lands. All
trying to do some
three
work
of
over
the
here.
CRA measures that are scheduled to be voted on this week
Hold on.
are literally put forward to open
Stop.
some of
Get
our
over here.
nation's most sacred and treasured places. This includes opening protected areas in the Arctic that are not only important to protect for ecological
Come here.
wildlife, but for cultural reasons. Areas that our colleagues know tribal communities have fought for generations to protect. Areas that our colleagues know are sensitive. Areas that we know during the first Trump administration when they tried to sell them off to the lowest bidder, the oil and gas industry didn't even want to drill there. And yet here they are trying to reverse the protections that have been put in place to protect not only these important lands in the Arctic, but these sacred lands. Mr. Speaker, these bills not only impact these lands, but are part of a larger pattern that we see in this administration, revoking previous protections that have been put in place to respect not only the ecological importance of lands, but also sacred places. In fact, during the shutdown, tribes in my district received notice that the administration was considering repealing the protections for Chaco Canyon. Mr. Speaker, I want you to understand what Chaco Canyon is. It is a global World Heritage Site, but it is a sacred site. It is a place for generations Pueblo and Dene Navajo people have come to pray. It is a place where on a cold morning, standing on top of the mesa overlooking Pueblo Bonito, you can see the ancient
Starla, go outside.
It is the ancestral homeland of the Pueblo people. It is a place where today religious leaders and community leaders continue to come for their religious practices. And it is a place that we have fought to protect for generations. And yet in the middle of the longest government shutdown, as tribes could not even get basic programs and services to operate, could not figure out if their grants and their programs were able to continue to operate, could not get access to lands that were important to them. This administration had the gall to send a
Time
letter
has expired.
to our tribes saying that they were going to revoke protections. So I am here to say we will fight back and we will defeat this effort. I yield.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.
Move.
So, I'm going to do a little bit of noise. It's
You
okay.
just shut the door.
I'm going to put like a machine right here.
Like where?
Like,
Because I'm working right now. You can put it in the bathroom.
it's a bit for the, sometimes it's for the smell.
To send a
Time
letter
has expired.
to
Oh, I
our
got you.
tribes saying that they were going to revoke protections. So I am here to say we will fight back and we will defeat.
Most certainly, Krista is a source of information. The form of the resolution noticed by the gentlelady from Washington will appear in the record at this point. The chair will not at this point determine whether the resolution constitutes a question of privilege.
5371, continue Veterans Affairs
Can you do me a favor?
2026, the Senate amendment thereto, and I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the title of the bill, designate the Senate amendment, and designate the motion.
HR 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 for other purposes. Senate amendment. Mr. Cole of Oklahoma moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment to HR 5371.
Come here. Ah.
Pursuant to House Resolution 873, the motion shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Appropriations or their respective designees. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole, and the gentlelady from Connecticut, Ms. DeLauro, each will control 30 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Oklahoma. The House will be in order. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the measure under consideration.
Without objection, so ordered. The House will be in order. All members are instructed to take their conversations outside.
It's like a big fan that you're gonna hook up. That's what you're doing, right? Like a big air fan. Commercial fan to go. Yeah, I got you. Come here.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Yeah.
Thank you. I advise today in support of the continuing
Favor.
appropriations, agriculture, legislative branch,
Just
military,
just
veterans affairs,
put the
Extension
glass
Act
in
2026. History
go outside, then.
The shutdown doesn't change the outcome. The only cost is paid by the American people. Over the last 33 days, the facts did not shift, the votes required did not shift, the path forward did not change. The only thing that did move was the level of pain Democrats inflicted on the nation. For 6 long weeks, Americans have paid the price for a shutdown they neither caused
Oh, you
nor
little stinker.
the pain and Americans, including families struggling without paychecks, seniors on the brink of hunger and food assistance left, airports in chaos, communities bracing as programs that they rely on stalled and stopped altogether. And with yesterday being Veterans Day, we especially reflect on the impact of this shutdown on those who served our nation, past and present. Our military families were left wondering if they would be paid. Thanks to President Trump, they will. Yet this is not how the greatest nation in the world should function. Today, that changed.
Thank you.
The legislation before us reopens the government, restores critical services, and puts an end to the needless hardship Democrats have inflicted on the country. This bill supports our troops. It pays federal workers. It fully funds SNAP benefits until November 30th of next year. It compensates our air traffic controllers right before a busy holiday season. In fact, it takes a holistic approach in ensuring federal services and programs are operational. In the simplest terms, we're putting the government back to work for our people. The bill is fundamentally the same approach House Republicans offered on September 19th, but with an important addition, 3 full-year appropriations bills
I think that was a
for
smart idea on here.
FY26. These bipartisan, bicameral full-year appropriations bills will cover the military, construction, and veterans affairs, legislative branch, and agriculture, rural development, and food and drug administration divisions. Once passed, we will have full-year funding in place for many of our most crucial programs. Military construction needs will be met for a full year, as will medical programs for our nation's veterans. The legislative branch will be properly resourced, including critical funding enhancement for the Capitol Police and for member security. And agriculture, food, and nutrition programs like WIC and SNAP will be fully funded to help vulnerable people in need. Importantly, this legislation delivers member-driven community project funding to both the military construction and agricultural divisions, which will direct resources back into the hands of the communities we represent. This was a top priority for the Appropriations Committee, and we achieved holding overall spending levels in check. It's responsible appropriations progress like this that causes me to reflect on an important message to our friends in the Democratic leadership. My sincere apologies to Minority Leaders Jeffries and Schumer, but after today, you will no longer get to hold the government hostage, and you will not get to force a rushed, pork-filled Christmas omnibus at the end of the year. Republicans have actively restored a responsible line-by-line process. Over the next few months, we will continue this work and efforts through regular order. This Article 1 advancement is an accomplishment that every member of this chamber can be proud of, regardless of party. Yet some still need to decide what they stand for today. Do you treat Americans as collateral damage? And do you answer to your we have and we will continue to put to reopen our government and pass 3 official 4-year I hope House Democrats do the same. True courage let's reopen the government and get back to work. With that, Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves, the gentlelady from Kentucky.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House is now in order. Trump and my Republican colleagues refuse to address this issue. They continue to avoid it. They were so intent on avoiding it that they shut down the government instead of dealing with it. Speaker Johnson has indicated that he will not deal with it. He has shown no interest in holding a vote on extending the health care subsidies, which would prevent monthly costs from soaring. Republicans have tried to say they will deal with this problem their own way, but they have no plan. They are trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, as they have been trying to do unsuccessfully for 15 years. However, they are poised to succeed, which is why it is so important for this continuing resolution to fail. President Trump and Republicans, their plan is to drive up prices for everybody, compounding the cost of living crisis. More than 2 million Americans are expected to lose their health insurance next year because it has simply become too expensive. There are more than 50 pages of healthcare provisions in this bill. Not one of them stops costs from skyrocketing at the beginning of next year. Not one of them offers relief to American families being squeezed tighter and tighter by the Republican crisis. There is one group of people, however, who will receive some relief thanks to this bill. United States senators who may have participated in an insurrection snuck into this bill at the 11th hour by Senate Republicans is a provision.
Welcome to the mistletoe. Thanks so much. Have a great holiday. Every charming little town has a dark underbelly if you know what to look for. How did you say you died?
I didn't.
Which is why...
Direction. Understand, this is a corrupt precedent. This is where members can profit from their own votes. It's the fleecing of the American people, which they get and understand. At the same time, this bill excludes a provision that will order a plaque to be hung that honors the police officers who put their lives on the line to defend our democracy from that same insurrection. What a contrast. It is yet another instance of this administration's shameless corruption that is financially ruining American families. While there is $230 million for the president to pay himself from the Department of Justice, $8 million for some of his closest Senate allies, $200 million for a pair of private jets for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, $40 billion to Argentina, the American people are left with nothing but higher costs. This bill also fails to fully cover the Toxic Exposure Fund, which was created to support veterans exposed to burn pits and Agent Orange. We made a promise to stand by the men who served our country in the war. This bill does not live up to that promise. You know, Republicans need to stop taking photographs with veterans and then vote against their health care. Those who lead in the appropriations process here believe in the constitutional power of the purse. And over the past month, President Trump has been firing federal workers en masse. And when his administration has failed there, they have made life so miserable for federal workers that they had no choice but to leave. Federal workers should be, and I quote, dramatically affected. Those are the words of the Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought, an unelected bureaucrat. The federal workforce has dwindled by 200,000 since January, jeopardizing the public services that so many people rely on. Spare us your false concern. And since January, this administration has been stealing from our communities, withholding as much as $410 billion in funding approved by Democrats and Republicans, House, Senate, signed into law, and they are illegally blocking authorized funds from being distributed. Even now, as we debate this bill, the Trump administration is arguing to the Supreme Court that they should be allowed to withhold food stamp funding that Congress lawfully approved. They were ordered by 3 separate courts to distribute food assistance and are still fighting to withhold it. It is not connected to opening this government. They have the money. They have it now for food stamps. They just refuse to use it. Imagine using food as a political weapon, unspeakable and immoral. It seems like their only plan is to strip children of food assistance, of kicking their parents off their health insurance. They have demonstrated that that is who they are. These are their true colors. You cannot expect Democrats to go along with any bipartisan funding deal if that agreement can be undone with a party line vote. Congress must assert its authority over the power of the purse. I encourage my colleagues to vote no.
Gentlelady reserves, the gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield to our distinguished majority leader, the gentleman from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, that came up. I didn't pick
Thank you,
that
Mr. Speaker. Thank my friend, Chairman of the Appropriations. Bringing this important bill to the floor. Appropriators working tirelessly to negotiate that is part of this bill to reopen the government. We never should have done this. We tried as Republicans over a month ago to prevent the American shutdown. 99% of Republicans voted the government open, and 99% of Democrats voted to shut it down. And then that bill went over to the Senate, and we watched for 42 days, where time and time again, Democrats, just to appease their most radical base, continued to vote in unison to shut the government down. And during that shutdown, we saw millions of families experience pain, Mr. Speaker. Pain and suffering that Democrats themselves acknowledge that they oppose the American people. But they said over and over again, we have quote after quote from Democrats during the shutdown that they needed to impose the suffering to get leverage, Mr. Speaker, to use the American people as pawns to get leverage. For what? For what? They ultimately filed an alternative bill, $1.5 trillion ad spending spree that included things like $200 billion of taxpayer funding for illegals to get taxpayer benefits, while they cut the $50 billion rural health care fund that we put in place in the Working Families Tax Code. So, Mr. Speaker, anybody who comes up here and says they care about health care, they were also advocating to gut the $50 billion rural health care fund to provide $200 billion in taxpayer-funded health care benefits for illegals. It's insanity. And if you really want to look at where this all began, as some on the other side, Democrats want to talk about a health care crisis, the health care law of the land is what they refer to as Obamacare. But let's remember the original name that Democrats gave that bill when they created it. They called it the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act. Only Democrats voted for it. Republicans knew it was going to be anything but affordable. It was going to interfere with the doctor-patient relationship. And unfortunately, it's done that. But if you want to talk about affordable, and maybe the only other bill that's more laughable in its name is the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, it's another product brought to you by Democrat-only votes. The Inflation Reduction Act, which ushered in the inflation under Joe Biden that we're still trying to shake today. But the Affordable Care Act, Mr. Speaker, since it started, Americans have seen over 80% increase in their health care costs because of a Democrat-created bill that they want to now blame on Republicans. I understand why they would want to try to now pawn that on somebody else. But then if you look over time during COVID, they created
to
Oh, I
individuals, Mr.
see.
Speaker, but to insurance companies. Democrats created
Just take it
a
over.
temporary, they
There
call
you
it
go.
temporary,
You read my mind.
temporary COVID relief tax credit to insurance companies to bail out
That's
big
to keep
insurance
that
companies who are
stinky
seeking
stuff
record
out.
profits, and that's now what they want Republicans to renew.
Stop.
A insurance company bailout that Democrats created to be temporary. They set it up to expire. And now they're saying that the world's going to end if that insurance company bailout doesn't get renewed. While at the same time, when we as Republicans work to actually lower premiums for families, they fought it every step of the way. That's right. We had a bill that we passed through this House just a few months ago.
So we told you this was going to happen. We told you.
Part of that bill,
Trump drops tariffs on
share reduction, was scored by the CBO to lower premiums for families by over 12%. And what happened? It gets over. By the way, every Democrat here that gets that too. That's what we never do. Then that bill gets overshot. Senate Democrats work overtime to get that provision removed. And the Senate Democrats they still fight that provision. So, Republicans have worked and will continue, by the way, to work to lower premiums for families, but make no mistake.
I'll leave it open a little bit in case she has to go outside.
Today are a result of the inaptly named Affordable Care Act and the many failures associated with it. But this bill today is about ending the misery Democrats created on families. That is just about funding the government, not about solving other problems that we should be working to solve, but about getting the government back open while not holding the American people hostage. And that, Mr. Speaker, is what has disgusted the American people most during the shutdown. That should have never happened. But it's that it has caused real suffering for American families. Our men and women in uniform that had to wonder whether or not they're going to get paid. Air traffic controllers who already had a highly stressful job and then had to show up for work without getting paid.
You know what my favorite movie of yours is? Woody Allen's New York Stories, Rosanna. You and Nick Nolte.
They aren't even being able to show up for work, and they still have bills due. Their rent's due. They're trying to put food on their table. And Democrats
Oh
won't
my
vote no
God,
tonight
that's such a
to keep
steal. Look at
denying
the
them
pajamas I
food.
got from Old Navy for just
$42 million
$5.
staff
I received the package today and it's absolutely
Those people
amazing.
are
Is
voting
it
for
too
the
early
key
to
of
buy
those
Christmas pajamas in November?
If you
Teddy
vote
Nelson said
no,
no way this
you
wears
voted to
pajamas will
deny
accompany our
those
winter nights.
42 million women and families
But if you ever watch
facing
videos,
food wars.
How'd it go? How'd you like the gift?
About how much you care about voting for people that voted no tonight to deny them food. Basic services. Basic things that American families need and should be part of the leverage to show the radical base that they're fighting Donald Trump to set the results of the election of November. It's going to end this madness. Let's get this government. Let's go negotiate our differences, which are big, but let's do it while not continuing to hold the American people
Oh, this is like the return line? Oh, man. Oh, I gotta scan this now. That's right. Oh, yeah, okay. Vamos. You gotta scan this little thing also. Gold saw, medical, platinum. All right. What else do we got over here? This is what I'm
Thumbs up. Yeah. Oh, stop it. Lay down.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of Senate Amendment to H.R. 5751, finally put an end to the Democrat legislature shutdown. Millions of Americans have suffered because they refuse to reopen the government. Army veterans will pay on SNAP benefits, federal workers, border patrol agents, and our troops are uncertain about the next paycheck. This legislation extends government funding to the end of January 2026, thereby funding attempts to force a budget busting envelopes in the last minute before Christmas. Also, because the FY 2026 Act will administration Republicans effectively locked in discipline, flat spending goals, while supporting the Trump administration's policy priorities. The act also bill provides $26.65 billion in discretionary spending, which is level with the current amounts, while also promoting budget funding. This bill provides critical funding support to veterans, farmers, ranchers, and communities. It ensures that the USDA and FDA safeguard our nation's food supply, and fully funds nutrition programs, including SNAP and WIC. Additionally, the bill closes the hemp loophole that has resulted in the spread of unregulated, intoxicating hemp-derived products that are being sold online and in gas stations and commercial restaurants. Many of these products are accessible and practically cheap, resulting in thousands of loans to U.S. schools and medical centers. 30% of college children aged 9 years old. This provision is supported by 39 states and 32, over 81 national and state government organizations. It's beyond disappointing that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle supervise and continue the chaos and uncertainty of government shutdown. But this is what is responsible for public law. It's we stare down radical Democrats' outrageous budget busting demands and their online work for federal taxpayers. Thank you, Appropriations Chair, for all jurisdictions. I'm encouraged by colleagues to support this legislation. Gentlemen from Maryland, get back. Gentlemen from once again, the Senate has moved by the equals ahead of those who are ladies, back. That's nothing to stop. 20 million Americans know. Senior healthcare government. And it does absolutely nothing to stop this these cuts will have a sounding impact on subject President demanded that they be denied. Stepped up and said, they ran to court, Mr. Speaker, to take $6.40 away. Who does that? Explain that to me. Takes $6.40 away from a single mom or a hungry sheep. That's the thing. Unbelievable. And here we are working on it. I believe we have to fight for it. I say, prevent getting out. Right. Don't fear that gentleman from the connection reserves.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
What is TikTok do? I don't like the box. I'm trying to figure out how to get these boxes off here. Oh, TikTok is messed up right now. Kelly, I'm trying to figure out why. How do I turn off the TikTok? That's box.
Continue our work on behalf of the American people.
I'm on YouTube too. But you enjoyed my bathtub, so I thought I would turn it on. But you can actually see me on YouTube. Guys, give me a follow over on YouTube. Daisy, go on my YouTube. I can moderate you over there on YouTube, but you have to be there. Let me know when you're there. Hey, Gigi. I'm on my YouTube over here. Oh, they're doing the bathtub replays. And they got that, I guess they're the smelling stuff out.
It has been a long road to bring this bill to the floor, a road that was made significantly longer by totally unnecessary shutdown that we've been living in. The bill before us not only reopens the entire government, but ensures that the House and its supporting agencies remain working for the American people. The bill invests in safety and security. It increases funding for the Capitol Police, provides support for security programs through the House Sergeant at Arms, and is tough on foreign adversaries, including language I wrote, preventing the purchase of technology tied to the Chinese Communist Party. I want to thank Chairman Cole for his leadership and Ranking Member Espaillat and our subcommittee members and their staff and our staff and their work. And I urge my colleagues to vote yes. I yield back.
Gentleman from West Virginia yields back. Gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Oh, I got that. But they have to actually tear out the wall for that because it's inside the wall.
The gentlelady from Ohio is recognized for 1 minute.
That's all they do to the bathtub is reglazing the bathtub.
Congresswoman DeLauro, Congress today should vote for affordable health insurance for Americans and reduce its rising costs. Instead, in the dead of night, 8 Senate Republicans slipped into this bill a payola for themselves, literally raking millions of dollars to themselves. This payola is called
next Monday,
corruption. Millions of
I'll be up at the
slated for Senators Gray,
Aviation
Haggerty,
Center.
Hawley,
But I'll
Sullivan,
be there by 8
Tardo,
o'clock in the
Johnson,
morning because
Lewis,
it's an early
and
morning meeting.
Each is teed up to
Press
personally
conference.
rake in a minimum
So
of
hopefully
half
I'll
a
get her in
million
the Strata
up to
interview
$1.5
and
million.
the three hosts.
Meanwhile,
They're
the
going to
American
bounce the
people
host and I
need
guess whoever the
more
entertainer
affordable
is.
health insurance, but these senators with their House allies are lining their own pockets. I say
Now, if
no
I
more
get
tax
him, I won't
breaks
have to
to
get him on the carpet.
billionaires
Joe can get him on
and
the
no
carpet.
payoffs to U.S. senators. This is what happens when power serves itself instead of the people. This isn't leadership; it's corruption disguised as legislation. Will the gentleman yield me 10 seconds?
The gentleman's time has expired.
Let's cleanse America of
gentleman's time has
disgusting
expired.
corruption. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much,
Hey,
Mr.
should
Speaker.
there's a-
Speaker, I yield to
They're
that.
reglazing the bathtub because it was peeling.
From Washington and distinguished member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Newhouse.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, for yielding the time. Mr. Speaker, over 40 days after the Senate Democrats shut down the federal government, we are finally reopening. The result of the shutdown has been thousands of employee furloughs, major disruptions to our air travel, service members going without pay.
You know what I did? I bought a stupid
for
Sprite.
low-income individuals
Didn't pay
and families,
attention. Let me
and
show
much,
you.
much more. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the House Appropriations Committee, the responsibility of funding the federal government is one that I take very seriously, especially in light of our nation's debt surpassing $38 trillion. The performative tactics that we have watched over the last 7 weeks have truly been a disservice to Americans. And my friends across the aisle should never have put
I would not have bought this. It's
over
like
those
spice
people that they represent. But
cranberry.
the most important thing right
winter
now
spice cranberry, and it's
is that we get back
nasty.
to work, making sure that federal
I
government
do not
can provide
recommend.
the essential
I wasn't
services
paying
that people
attention. I
depend
just
on,
saw the
and that Congress
label.
can continue working
I wasn't paying
to pass
attention when I picked it
full-year
up.
funding legislation providing
Now
responsible
you gotta
federal
watch for
spending
everything. They try to
and
trick
fund
you.
those essential services. Mr. Speaker, we are making significant progress with the inclusion of these 3 appropriation bills, but our work is far
I know
from
it's nasty, isn't
I
it,
encourage
Gigi?
all my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to
I
support this
wouldn't have
deal,
bought it.
vote to end this unnecessary
Because I didn't
shutdown,
like the spice coke.
Help
I ended up
us
pouring it out.
get back to the business of hardworking Americans.
And that I
across this
intentionally
country.
bought.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from
But
Connecticut
this is
is
nasty.
recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Minnesota, the distinguished ranking member of the Defense Subcommittee, Ms. McCollum.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, Donald Trump and Republicans control the entire government. For 42 days.
So I'm listening to this is about the health care.
Why? Because they
It says it's for a vote
refuse
for the
to
Epstein
extend tax
files, but I
credits
think
to
that's
help
actually
millions of
tomorrow.
Americans afford their health care. And if that wasn't bad enough, President Trump even withheld food assistance during the shutdown. Hunger should never be used as a weapon.
Ew, cherry
CR
Sprite? I
continues
never
the
had
Republican
that.
healthcare crisis. The Speaker's
tea
office
might be
said
okay.
he will hold a vote to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits to
But-
reduce
oh,
healthcare
I-
costs.
so
for
that's
Americans.
two
So now
no's.
my constituents are going to have to choose between
That's 2 no's for the
feeding their homes, feeding
Spice
their families, or
winter
taking
spice
their children to
cranberry.
the doctor.
no.
It's a terrible deal for the American people. Americans
'Cause I
deserve
kept-
an open and
I opened it
transparent
yesterday. I
government
thought
that
it was
works for them.
regular.
They deserve
And I'm
access
like,
to affordable
Why
health care
does this taste funny?
for their families. And that's what
And then I
Democrats
looked
are
at it,
bringing.
oh,
I wish the president
yeah,
and
it was
Republicans
like real
would join us
spicy.
in
Like,
this fight.
but I
and share
can't
our
drink it.
priorities. I yield back.
But it's probably the
We'll
slowest
see.
I've drank
Gentleman
soda.
from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 1 minute. My very good friend, gentleman from Missouri, and member of the
Peon showed me
We
steak.
had to onboard a new hire. She would spend
Let
hours
me turn this down. I hit it
only
off.
to end up explaining the same things over and over again anyways. But Newbie is saving
There.
tons of time thanks to Scribe. Scribe is a tool that reports all your tasks as
This is how I get my news.
AI to make detailed
I hear
steps
what
and
they're
guidance,
doing
screenshots,
live.
and instructions, which you can then hand off to the new hire, letting them watch and learn on their own, saving you precious time in your workday. It seriously feels like magic. You can sign up for free at scribehealth.com.
The hostage with the Schumer shutdown. Democrats in Congress, including the minority whip, shamefully admitted they were using the misery they
Okay,
inflicted
right.
on the American people as
Hey,
leverage
Jimmy.
to achieve their leftist wish list of demands, slowly twisting the heads of the American people in a vice. Tonight, I'm relieved to say the misery of the Schumer shutdown is on our doorstep. Mr. Speaker, this package proves that
Why
when
don't you
Republicans
shut up?
stay united and put America
Why don't you
first,
shut up?
we can govern with
He's
strength,
making me mad.
compassion,
Punch
and
him.
common sense.
I
Tonight,
punched
Mr.
him in the
Speaker,
face.
tonight we will reopen the government and liberate the Schumer hostages. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
I don't know what it is about the Midwest.
California, member of the Appropriations Committee, Mrs. Torrance.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition of this deeply flawed bill because the American people deserve better.
Yes,
Since
indeed.
Trump returned
Yeah, you know what they
to office,
snuck in this
Republicans have
bill?
created an affordability
The end of the
nightmare,
shutdown?
a mass
A national
transfer of
abortion
hard-earned
ban.
taxpayers' dollars to billionaires.
In my district alone, more than 350,000 people are facing skyrocketing
Oh, that
healthcare
sounds
costs
good,
for
Gigi.
cuts to critical services.
I love homemade shepherd's
Republicans
pie.
shut down
Oh.
the government instead of finding bipartisan solutions.
You have to send me
to
your
keep
recipe
care
and I'll make your
affordable,
recipe.
And took a 7-week paid hiatus during doubling healthcare costs for working families, cutting off food assistance right before Thanksgiving, and letting Trump
don't
spend
care.
his holidays pardoning insurrectionists, enriching billionaires, cozying up to dictators, and building himself a new ballroom, all while taking
I hope they
food
can
away
restore
from
that ballroom that he
families
tore
in
down
need.
and
now
restore
Senate
the East
Republicans
Wing.
want to reward
They should
themselves
be able
with a
to.
taxpayer
They have the
funded
original
handout.
plans.
Shameful, shameful, shameful. House Republicans should be here doing their jobs, not
All right.
making life harder for
Do me a
working
favor,
families
pop in on my
by urging
YouTube a minute,
no vote.
Gigi, and just say hi. I want to make sure the comments are on, because I can't see anybody. Can you just pop in there for like 30 seconds on the YouTube?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Or
I
just
yield
put
the
hi,
floor to
so I know if it's working.
gentleman from Texas and Chairman of the House Budget Committee, Mr. Harris.
All right,
Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the
you get ready for work?
rejecting a clean CR, shutting the government down, creating all the havoc, the pain and suffering for our fellow Americans is so obviously disingenuous. They never vote against clean CRs. Never. For 4 years under Biden, you all didn't reject one clean CR. Chuck Schumer in 44 years never rejected a clean CR. So, Mr. Speaker, what's it about? They say policy. They put forward a proposal, Mr. Chairman. They said it's about health care for illegals.
Hey, Mama
They
Retza,
repeal work requirements for able-bodied individuals.
we're live in the studio today,
In this country.
and I'm live on
Spending
YouTube as well.
$1.5 trillion. That's twice the
So you're
discretionary.
not following me on YouTube, guys, follow me on
They'd be
YouTube.
spending more money than we've ever spent outside of COVID. That's their counter proposal. It's not only disingenuous, it's unserious. So what's it about? It's about
Ain't in
politics.
trouble.
It's about resisting.
Hey, you
and
follow me on
fighting
YouTube?
and undermining Donald Trump. But here's the deal. They're not fighting and resisting Donald Trump. They're undermining the will of the American
Good
people.
trouble, you
Hate
follow me
Trump,
on
the
YouTube?
presidency.
I'm live right now, so you should be able to find me.
Gentleman's recognized.
They
Just pop in
undermine the
and-
will of the people who overwhelmingly elected President Trump and gave him the mandate of the America First agenda. So you're not resisting us.
Pop in there and say
You're
hello.
posturing and placating
Trying to
the
get people
radical
to
left.
get me more
And you
subscriptions.
are holding back what
I
the
need
American
like
people wanted,
8
and that was a new direction for this country.
8 or
I
9 to
yield
get
back.
to 3,000.
Members are reminded to please direct their comments only to the chair. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves.
Let's see if we can get me
The
3,000
gentleman from
today.
Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New Jersey, the distinguished.
Adopted for middle-class people who have not.
Oh, what kind of surgery are you having?
They had no other option. They had nowhere to go. Just what ends up.
Everybody's having surgery. My former pastor and friends, he's had heart surgery either today or tomorrow.
That's an increase of $1,000 a month. Who can afford that? No one in the middle class. At the end of 2024 last year,
Oh, it's your island
the
surgery.
the number of uninsured, the number of
Well, you better go get ready for that.
at a record high of about 90.
I want to see those beautiful islands when you're done.
Then Trump comes in, the Republicans comes in with their
So how long is the recovery?
and they make cuts to Medicaid, cuts to hospitals and nursing homes, and no funding to extend the ACA tax credits. So what's going to happen? More and more people have no health insurance. That's the bottom line. They will not have health insurance. And the Republicans don't seem to care. But I want you to know that the Democrats care and will continue to fight for you.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
I got started. Calm down.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentleman from Guam.
3 weeks. Wow, that's a long recovery.
The gentleman is recognized. Thank you, my
So will you have the bandages over your eyes?
Guam is home to 3,372 federal employees, more than 43,000 SNAP recipients, and over 9,000 WIC recipients, and more than 20,000.
And take care and get ready.
All of whom have
What time do you have to be there?
shut down. If we continue to put politics over a country, my constituents will continue to suffer. Simply put, this gets us back on track, ensures funding for those who need it is in place, and turns the lights back on. This bill ensures that families receive the assistance they need
veterans have access to care, and our island is reimbursed for the sacrifice we make to keep federal programs running during this difficult time. I urge my colleagues to support this bill and to deliver.
You stop work for 4 days?
The time
So yeah, what time are you leaving? Probably about
government is open,
a couple hours?
have the assistance they need.
Or what time do you have?
Gentlemen, you.
Surgery's at 1, so what time you gotta be there, by noon?
Gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Massachusetts, the distinguished ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Neal.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank the gentlelady. Mr. Speaker, the destruction that is taking place in America's healthcare system during these 10 months is unbelievable. They've eviscerated the National Institutes of Health. They've cut back on the Centers for Disease Control. Billions of dollars from Medicaid for a tax cut for the wealthy. Where do you see what's coming to America's hospitals after the next election?
Did you see all the flooding
After the election,
that hit San Diego over the weekend?
people are likely to lose health insurance if we don't implement
Downtown San Diego?
as suggested. The emergency room is going to be back in full force now because this is where people will go for their health care. All of this is taking place to justify a tax cut for people at the very top. And here's the real kicker. Our Republican colleagues of fiscal probity
Hey,
borrowed
country girl.
money for the tax cuts.
Hey,
2017, it's $2.4 trillion.
if you're not already, can you give me a follow on my YouTube? It's live over there. Pop in and say
For a
hello.
tax cut for wealthy people. Whatever happened to the fiscal soundness that the Republican Party used to lecture everybody on? And I yield back to Mel.
The gentleman yields. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Newsroom.
The gentleman is recognized.
Good morning, Angela. Hey, Angela, are you following me on my YouTube channel?
The fiction side over there and the nonfiction side over here. The only thing that's not fiction, however, is their consistent criticism of the healthcare system known as Obamacare that they created.
Awesome, because I'm live on YouTube.
And
Maybe just pop in and say hello over there.
today, Mr. Speaker, after 6 weeks of no pain, or excuse me, lots of pain and no gain,
Sometimes I'll turn it on
again
to keep an eye on my house while I'm not here.
again. They're
So if
whipping
you
their
ever see
votes,
somebody in
so
here
they
when
would
I'm
not be paying
other than my
federal
dog.
workers. They won't be funding essential programs like SNAP.
So that way
and
you can,
undo the chaos at
and
our
you can see
airports.
my door, but right
Yeah,
now
I
they're
spent the
here, they're
last
supposed to
23
be here.
days in my district talking with these groups, talking with SNAP, talking with Head Start, seeing their pain, realizing and understanding it. Some of my colleagues did the same, but shockingly, they're still going to vote to keep the government closed and keep this funding from being
I'm
delivered.
thinking about,
It's time to fix the
I'll
damage
probably wait
that
till after the
Democrats
first of
have
the year,
caused. With this vote
and
tonight,
then try to hit
Republicans will
Burbank
restore
Airport.
SNAP payments. We'll get TSA
What do
air
you
traffic
think?
control.
Yield the gentleman.
Mine will be in the daytime though.
And you know what, thank you, Chairman. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? Yes,
Hey,
they was
Giovanna, I
They
hope
fight
I'm
for the red,
pronouncing
they
that
fight
right.
for the blue. They fought
Giovanna,
for the red, white, and blue. Maybe tonight we can lead. We
Or
can follow their
Giovanna.
example. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves.
give me a
The
follow
gentleman
on
from
YouTube
Connecticut
if
is
you're not already
recognized.
following me.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Delbecq.
The gentleman is recognized.
Hi, Angela, I see you.
Bill fails to address the fundamental needs of families across our country.
Hey, do me a favor, when you're on YouTube, don't forget to watch some of my long form videos. Help me get monetized on YouTube. I gotta get the 4,000 watch time hours. That's what I'm having trouble with. Or at least get me up to 3,000 and I can get semi-monetized. But 4,000 I get fully monetized. But I tell the story on the entire Walk of Fame. Hey, if you're not getting notifications on YouTube, make sure that you hit that notification bell. What is this one? I gotta start working on my editing skills because YouTube's doing some changes. Yeah, it's good. I don't know which one you can hear me better at, on the TikTok or on the YT.
The gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose the Republican spending bill that makes health care more expensive for hardworking Americans. While Republicans were on their 70-plus vacation, all our constituents were receiving notices of premium increases. A constituent of mine, a lifelong educator, has been told that her premiums will jump from $383 to nearly $1,000. Meanwhile, Trump and Republicans can find money for a fancy ballroom. They can give tax breaks to billionaires. And they even included millions of dollars in cash payouts in this bill for 8 Republican senators.
This is what they're talking about, and then they're going to vote on this.
They would go to prison. But for Americans trying to afford health care, not $1 in tax credits. House Democrats are united against this corrupt bill and will keep fighting to protect America's health care.
You guys are following me on YouTube? Pop up to my YouTube channel and say hello. Give us a follow.
Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from
Because every star has a story, Hollywood has a history, and that's the place that you'll find the entire history of the Walk of Fame. It's Wednesday.
As a couple of my colleagues have suggested, a lot of
Depending, weather permitting, I may be out at the Sorrow, and I think it's Wednesday. Weather permitting.
to shut the government down 43 days ago. During that time, soldiers have had to worry about getting paid. The only reason they were paid is the President of the United States managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Hey, oh, Dolly.
Military families.
Welcome in, welcome in. Go ahead and give a follow on my YouTube channel. That's where you find all the great content from the long form videos, the whole history of the Walk of Fame. Every star on the Walk of Fame has a story, and Hollywood has a history.
Protection of the Capitol Police, they do a splendid job. They keep doing their job.
And this is a behind the scenes in the newsroom.
That are desperate need of some of the services that this government has promised to give them, SNAP and WIC, that's at risk unless we pass this legislation tonight. So we can have all these debates about all these other issues. As a matter of fact, my friend the Speaker, his counterpart in the United States, Majority Leader, and the President said, when you open the government, we'll be happy to talk to you about some of these issues. But you're not going to shut down the government, punish the American people, put people's lives at risk, and think we're going to sit down and negotiate with you under those circumstances. That is not going to happen. We told you 43 days ago, from bitter experience, government shutdowns don't work. They never achieve the objective that you announced. And guess what? You haven't achieved that objective yet, and you're not going to. We did the same thing twice, so I'm not saying that we've got clean hands over here. You guys did it on DACA, didn't work here, not going to work here. Only people that have suffered have been the American people, the people that we're all here to serve. So let's keep the focus on getting the government back on. I would also add,
Okay, Wizard.
this very much.
You're not following me already? Give me a follow. Give me a follow on my YouTube channel.
Appropriations bills that do important things. The ag bill will make
And
sure
don't forget about next Monday,
and SNAP
early, it'll be an early morning time,
down between now and September
press
30th.
conference at the Ovation Center,
We'll make sure that the Capitol
and then the
Police
Hollywood
and
Christmas parade.
everybody else and staff that allow this chamber to function don't have to worry about not getting paid until September 30th of next year. And obviously, military construction, and more importantly, veterans rely on benefits commitments we have made. Passage of this bill makes sure that those commitments we fulfill between now and September 30th next year. And we buy the time to sit down and rationally and responsibly negotiate other appropriations bills that we can bring, I hope, on a bipartisan basis to this floor to keep the government open. So I would just ask my friends to reflect on that. I hope some of you feel the weight of that decision. I know you do. And I hope you can vote to keep the government open. There's no excuse to shut it down. The United States Senate operated to keep it open in a bipartisan fashion. Now, it took them a long time to do it, but they got there. Let's not follow that example. Let's follow that when they finally got the job done.
I'm gonna pop off here on TikTok in a minute, so you can pop up. I'm gonna keep my YouTube live going. So go ahead and follow me on YouTube.
So, I'll just
Give
ask
it
my
another
friends
2 minutes.
to remember their constituents. I know they think about them. I know they're serious about the points.
I need to look up some information on my phone. Hey Pamela, welcome in, welcome in. Give me a follow on my YouTube. I'm live on YouTube right now.
A no vote on this again
Live on
means
YouTube.
soldiers and military families don't get paid. A no vote means that
I'm gonna be logging off here a minute, but I'm gonna stay live on and the tube for a few more
allow
minutes.
us to come here and debate and work won't get paid either. I
Hey,
go down
Boo Boo
the
Kitty.
list. It's pretty simple. This is a vote about two things. Opening the government of the United States, which you willfully tried to shut down.
Hey,
Fortunately,
Suzanne.
did not succeed in that.
Everybody that's popping in, popping out, go ahead and give me a follow on the YouTube channel. And leave a comment so I know you popped
You
in.
want to pay attention to those people. They said enough is enough. Let's reopen the government. I would urge my
Hey,
colleagues
Todd.
to do that today.
Hey, are you following me on my YouTube channel, Todd? If not, it's live right now on my YouTube. I'm gonna log off here in a few minutes, but I'm gonna stay live on YouTube because I'm in the studio today. All right, you can pop over there when I log off and just pop into my YouTube. I want to use my phone in a minute to search up some information.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you. Donald Trump said the cost of living crisis is fake news, a con job by the Democrats. Mr. Speaker, 60% of Americans can't afford
This is how I get the news.
quality of life. 45%
Covering the news, listen to this boring and government stuff.
for a prescription because they can't afford it.
They have to give all their speeches and then they're voting for health care right now.
The American people are simply not making it. Not only is that crisis real.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to rain again this afternoon, all the way through, I think Thursday.
Voters believe them. And now, after 54 days.
Hopefully Wednesday, but I think it's supposed to rain Wednesday, so I'll say weather permitting. I may be over at the Chadwick Boseman's star dedication, but that's weather permitting.
They are doubling, tripling, and quadrupling monthly premiums.
Because I'd love to get Viola Davis, because she's, you know there'll be some other celebrities there too. But she's one of the guest speakers, is Viola Davis, and I forgot who the other guy is. I can look it up and tell you when you're on my channel on YouTube. Don't forget to watch my long form videos. Help me out on the long form. Help me get monetized over there. Make it easier. We got to get me up to 3-time watch time hour to get some partial benefits going. And get the full monetization. I need 4,000 watch time hours in a year. And it's not views, it's watch time hours. So make sure when you watch Joe's videos, watch his long form videos and the short form. Because if you have the short form, then you need, I think it's 10 million watch time hours in 90 days. It's easier to get 4,000 in a year.
So let's do something.
But he's got problems right now with some legal issues going on. But he does have partial, where you can like hype his videos every time he posts. I don't know if you guys are getting hype on the videos,
The gentleman
but
yields.
you
The
can hype the
gentleman
videos
from
and you get
Connecticut
points.
reserves. The
I
gentleman
don't
from
know.
Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
That's about all I
Gentleman
get.
reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut
So if
is
my
recognized.
videos come up and it asks you to hype my videos, hype
Because this
them.
bill fails to prevent healthcare
Hype
costs
mine
from
and Joe's
skyrocketing.
videos.
It fails to address the crisis of affordability.
Hey Daisy,
It fails to keep our
are you following me on YouTube,
promise to
Daisy?
provide $1 million jackpot to 8 senators.
Pop into YouTube, Daisy, because when I log off here, I'm going to stay live on YouTube longer.
And I have the honor of yielding
And I can get you a moderator over there
our
too.
distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Hakeem Jeffries.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the distinguished gentlelady, Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, for yielding and for her steadfast leadership on behalf of working families.
And that's an old message from Gigi. I don't know why it filtered that. I just unfiltered it.
Speaker, I rise today
Is that Daisy?
to this woefully inadequate spending bill that fails to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis and fails to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits
Hold on, Daisy.
of millions of Americans.
Let me figure out how to do this.
Before I say anything further, let me say to our men and women in uniform, to our active duty troops, to our hardworking federal employees, to our civil servants, to our TSA agents, to our Capitol Police, to our staff here.
Oh, hold on.
In the House of Representatives,
The wrong
to
button.
our air traffic controllers.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
I made you a moderator over here too. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll get notifications on YouTube. And check out my long form videos. You'll see some Jonas Brothers stuff on my long form and my short form. I'm going to log off on my TikTok in about 2 minutes.
Federal employees prior to the start of the Trump Republican shutdown. Republicans control the House, the Senate.
And you can watch it like when you watch my videos and Joe's videos on the long form, that's anything over 3 minutes. Watch it at least 5 times or just play it through. Because that builds up the watch time hours. That's considered 5 views is considered 1 watch time minute.
Taxpayers. All across the country, I'm certain that there are people in America asking the question, where do we go from here? House Democrats have a simple answer. We will continue to fight to lower the high cost of living. House Democrats will continue to fight to address the healthcare crisis
And
that
don't forget,
Republicans have created.
Daisy, I don't know which one you're on, so don't forget to, if you get like hype, you see the word hype mine and Joe's videos. It helps it go up in for views of that. And then you get some kind of points or something. It's something new that they're doing.
We'll fight next week. We'll fight this month. We'll fight next month. We'll fight until we win this battle for the American people. That's our commitment as House Democrats. There's only 2 ways that this fight will end. Only 2 ways, Mr. Speaker, that this fight will end.
Hey, Rosemary, get ready to log off, but I'll go on my YouTube live. Go ahead and give me a follow on YouTube so you don't miss any of my YouTube lives.
Will throw Republicans out of their jobs next year and end the speakership of Trump once and for all.
Thank you, Daisy. And you got Joe too, right?
During this painful Trump Republican shutdown.
If we can both get monetized and start making, I know a couple of YouTubers, they actually bought houses from just making YouTube money. So I know it's possible.
Party philosophy is clear. We are ready, willing, and able.
And always watch anything over 3 minutes because that's what gets it up. Okay, I'm gonna log off of my TikTok. I'll see you guys later on TikTok. Jump over to the YouTube.
But in order to do that, we need to have partners on the other side of the aisle who are actually willing to find a bipartisan path forward. But what we've seen from Republicans from the very beginning of byway or the highway approach. That's been the Republican
Good catch.
your extremism down the throat for the American people. That's what we've seen from day one of this presidency.
Come here,
That's
Starlet.
the reason why the government has been shut down by Republicans and Donald Trump for the longest period of time in American history. What have we seen from Donald Trump and Republicans during this shutdown? A consistent unwillingness to actually find common ground in order to make life better for the American people. Donald Trump, during the shutdown, found the time to play golf week after week after week. Donald Trump found the time to pardon serial fraudsters like George Santos and Rudolph Giuliani. Donald Trump found the time to meet with the Chinese Communist Party. Donald Trump found the time to destroy the East Wing of the White House. Donald Trump found the time to extort $230 million from the Department of Justice so he could line his pockets. Donald Trump found the time to bail out Argentina with $40 billion. Donald Trump found the time to rip away SNAP benefits from 42 million Americans. Mr. Speaker, these extremists are not like us. They're not like us. They have zero interest in fighting hard to make life better for the American people. Their philosophy, my way or the highway, our response, get lost. We're going to continue to fight hard on behalf of the American people. In the midst of a healthcare crisis and a cost of living crisis that is very real, despite what Donald Trump, the leader of the Republican Party, has to say, he claims there is no affordability crisis in the United States of America. But why would anyone believe anything that Donald Trump or Republicans have to say on this issue? Because throughout 2024, before the election, Republicans in the House and in the Senate and Donald Trump on the campaign trail spent all of their time saying that costs were going to go down on day one.
Okay, you're back for a few minutes, Gigi.
Republicans haven't done a damn thing to lower the
Yeah, I was just looking something up. I was reading something.
Costs haven't gone down in this country. Costs have gone up. Inflation is on the way up. Housing costs out of control. Grocery costs out of control. Electricity.
People say stupid stuff. There was a stupid comment on Madison Beers and Parrot Jackson Man of the Year thing on my YouTube. Can you see this? Hold on.
So that tens of millions of people.
No, you can't see it because of light.
Middle class folks, people in rural America, working class America, small town America, the heartland of America, black and brown communities all throughout America don't experience premium increases that in some cases will go up by 1,000 or 2,000.
So I just responded to him. Thank you for pushing the content
per year.
because it was kind of a stupid comment.
In many cases,
It didn't deserve a heartbeat.
$1,000 or $2,000 per month, tens of thousands of dollars per year. Unacceptable in this country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
Charlotte. Gigi says no itchy.
Republican healthcare crisis. Republicans enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripped health insurance away from 14 million Americans. As a result of Republican policies, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across America.
She's lucky I don't have her toy. I'd throw a toy at her. Hold
And now,
on.
because of Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are at risk of being unable to afford to go see a doctor when they need it. In this country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, it can't be the case that
Come here.
healthcare is simply a privilege for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. That's the Republican perspective. We believe as Democrats that healthcare has to be a right and a right
Okay, see you later.
and available to every single American in the United
I'm just going to leave
States.
this on until the guys are done.
That's what this fight
So you just pop in and out.
And that's what the fight will continue to be as we move forward. Many of my Republican colleagues have suggested that they want to deal with the healthcare affordability issue, that they want to address.
Oh, it says FEMA acting head David Richardson resigned. Sources say that was CBS News and CBS Evening News.
There's a discharge petition connected to legislation that House Democrats have introduced to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years, because we believe that working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans deserve the same level of certainty.
Oh,
that Republicans always provide.
I don't know how
to the
true this
wealthy,
is,
to
but
all,
that's
and
not
to wealthy
surprising.
Working class
Some
Americans
CEOs said
deserve
they,
that level of certainty. So join us.
in 2019, the CEO of the Grammys went public saying the awards were rigged, and it turns out she might have been right. I agree with that.
Expire on December 31st.
I think all shows are rigged.
Stay on this issue.
They know who they want to win.
For everyday Americans. Speaker, as I close, I've had the opportunity, as many of us do, to serve in the United States Congress, but legendary figures, too numerous to mention. Legendary members, of course, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, great Jim Clyburn, Maxine Waters, Elijah Cummings, Charlie Raymond. Our own Marcia Kaptur, the longest serving woman in the history of the United States House of Representatives. We've all had the opportunity to serve with legendary members, John Dingell, too numerous to mention.
Oh, a little rain can't stop the magic. Join us tonight. Oh, it's tonight. They got, I was going to go over there this morning, and I couldn't because of this mess. I was, Lance Bass was over there this morning dancing on a pole.
On my first day in the Congress,
All right.
I had the opportunity to meet John Lewis for
Hold
the
on.
first time in person.
Let me write that in the
And he
comments.
called me over to see him on the House floor, and he asked me a simple question. He said, "Are you the new guy?" I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Lewis, I am." And he said, "Well, we're colleagues now. You don't have to call me Mr. Lewis. You can call me John." I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Lewis, I understand." And then he said to me, "You're from Brooklyn, right?" Mr. Speaker, I got to be honest, I was tempted to say, Brooklyn is always in the house. But instead, since my mother raised me with some sense, Anita Jeffries, I said, "Yes, sir, I'm from Brooklyn." And then he said something to me that I've never forgotten. He said, "Well, I hear some positive things about you from your predecessor, but Washington, D.C., young man, can be a rough place. So I don't want you to get into any trouble unless it's good trouble." I just wanted to stop by on the House floor to make sure it's clear to the American people that the spirit of John Lewis lives amongst House Democrats, and we will continue to get into good trouble to make their life better. That's our commitment to every single American all across this country, from this day and for every day moving forward. And it was John Lewis who said to us that ours is not the struggle of one day, 1 week, or 1 year. Ours is the struggle of a lifetime, and maybe even many lifetimes. And each one of us in every generation must do our part. Mr. Lewis, we love you. We were blessed by our opportunity to serve with you. And House Democrats are here to do our part. We're in this fight until we win this fight for the American people. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president. The gentleman from Connecticut has 30 seconds remaining and is recognized.
And please, let me know. I'm singing in the rain. Just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm happy again.
Redeeming God, your works are full of wonder, and your grace has surrounded us with your mercy, hemming us in and guarding us from our waywardness. By the presence of your Holy Spirit, guide us in the way you would have us go. Your thoughts, your plans are more numerous than the grains of sand. In your time,
I'm muted. If anybody's here, I'm going to mute for a minute. I gotta make a phone call.
you are extraordinary. May this next chapter bring you and Mike and Nolan and baby Jim all the happiness and all the bliss that you deserve. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose is the gentleman from Guam seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Now you're scraping the inside of shit out?
Mr. Speaker,
I
I rise today in honor
Oh, yeah.
of Cabo Enterprise Inc.
No, you take out all.
as it makes 50 years of service to the people of Guam. From its beginning in
Well, you gotta take
1930,
a break or
the
something?
island's first locally owned
So
insurance
don't worry
agency,
about it right now.
the Cabo
No,
family
I
built
can wait.
more than,
Where's it? Yeah.
it was
You
more
gotta
than
It
just
gets really bad.
businesses. They built
Because
opportunity for our
he's
island
gonna come
over
in right now.
the decades.
Oh,
Our
should I take this right now?
to include
Oh, yeah,
companies
yeah,
that
yeah.
became part of it, from Mid-Pacific
I can't
Distributors
really shut the door
and
though.
Pepsi Bottling Company
You
to
guys just stay there.
AUAM, giving our community a strong media voice, as well as supermarkets, helping provide food and essentials to our families. What we recognize today is not only business success, but a commitment to Guam through civic and charitable work, including the Edward M. Cabo Cancer Foundation,
I gotta go in
which
here.
has supported families during some of their most difficult
I
moments.
should have did that when you.
Three generations later, the Cabo family continues to lead with the same values of hard work, integrity,
It was easier
and
to do
service
that.
to community, helping strengthen our
Right
island
back.
and create a
Give me like
future
a couple
our
seconds.
children can rely on. To the Cabo family and every employee who contributed to this agency, thank you. And congratulations on 50 years of growing with Guam and for Guam. May the next 50 be just as strong. I yield back. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Iowa seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is now recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to highlight the $2 million in community project funding I secured for Jones Regional Medical Center in Anamosa to build a permanent state-of-the-art medical simulation lab. For the past several years, JRMC has trained nurses out of 2 temporary trailers, and despite those challenges, their program continues to produce highly skilled providers who are urgently needed across
Okay, guys.
Iowa. This funding will create a 1,700 square foot advanced
Okay,
simulation
my mouth
center
is big
that
enough.
will allow more students to graduate each year and expand training
You
for
heard
high
me,
skills.
okay?
This investment strengthens
Yeah, 'cause I couldn't
Iowa's
shut the
healthcare
door.
workforce and supports our rural hospitals.
That was beyond my control.
Ensures communities across Jones County have access to trained, qualified providers. I am proud to have secured this funding and remain committed to strengthening healthcare access and training across Iowa.
God dang, is that the
Mr.
one?
Speaker, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Ambassador and Iowa's longest serving governor, Governor Terry Branstad. Happy birthday, Ambassador and Governor Branstad. With that, I yield back.
The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir. In the wake of the late Congressman Grijalva's passing, it has been an honor to weigh onto the Education and Workforce Committee and contribute to its work during this transitional period. With the recent and long overdue swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, I respectfully remove myself from the Education and Workforce Committee to ensure she can assume this role seamlessly. Signed sincerely, Yasmin Ansari, Member of Congress.
Without objection, the resignation is accepted. The chair lays before the House the following enrolled bill.
President says he is considering holding talks.
HR 695, an act to amend Title 38 United States Code to increase the rate of the special pension payable to Medal of Honor recipients and for other purposes.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
We are now starting to edit. Numbers is winding down, so how many neighbors feel is vital.
Corruption and Veterans Affairs, Extension Act, 26. History reminds us that shutdowns never change the outcome. They only cost is paid by the American people. In the last 43 days, the facts did not shift, the votes required did not shift, the path forward did not change. The only thing that did move was with the level of pain Democrats have inflicted on the nation. For 6 long weeks, Americans have paid the price for a shutdown.
Do you still schedule employees like this or like this? Try building your work schedule with When I Work. Get it done in minutes. Share it with your team and make changes instantly. Try it free today.
Communities bracing and programs that they rely on stalled or stopped altogether. And with yesterday being Veterans Day, we especially reflect on the impact of this shutdown on those who served our nation, past and present. Our military families were left wondering if they would be paid. Thanks to President Trump, they will. Yet this is not how the greatest nation in the world should function. Today, that changes. The legislation before us reopens the government, restores critical services, and puts an end to the needless hardship Democrats have inflicted on people. This bill supports our troops, it pays federal workers, it fully funds SNAP benefits until September 30th of next year, and compensates our aircraft employees right before a busy holiday season. In fact, it takes a holistic approach in ensuring federal services and programs are operating in the simplest terms, putting the government back to work for people. The bill is fundamentally the same responsible approach House Republicans offered on September 19th, but with an important addition: 3 full-year appropriations bills for FY26. These bipartisan, bicameral full-year appropriations bills cover the military, construction, veterans affairs, legislative branch, and agriculture, rural development, and food and drug administration divisions. Once passed, we will have full-year funding in place for many of our most crucial programs. Military construction needs will be met for a full year, as will medical programs for our nation's veterans. The legislative branch will be properly resourced, including critical funding enhancements for the Capitol Police and for member security. And agriculture, food, and nutrition, like WIC and SNAP, will be fully funded to help vulnerable people. Thank you.
This legislation extends government funding in January 2026 and by blocking attempts to force budget busting omnibus at the last minute before Christmas. It also includes the FY 2026 agriculture bill, funding the Special Appropriations Act. Republicans have effectively locked in this time flat spending goals while supporting the Trump administration's policy priorities. The agriculture bill provides $46.65 billion in discretionary spending, which is not the current amounts, while also improving community project funding. This bill provides critical funding support for farmers, ranchers, and rural communities. It ensures both USDA and FDA can safeguard our nation's food and drug supply, and fully funds the nutrition program, including SNAP funding. Additionally, the bill closes the head resulting in the spread of unregulated, intoxicating chemical products that are being sold online and in gas stations and grocery stores across the country. Many of these products are accessible and practical to children, resulting in thousands of lost U.S. distribution centers, 30% of all children aged 5 years old. This provision is supported by 39 states and federal general laws, 81 national and state health and medical organizations. It's beyond disappointing that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to be voting to continue the chaos and uncertainty of the government shutdown. But this is what we're responsible for. We stare down the radical Democrats' outrageous filibuster demands and the line of hard-working American taxpayers. Black appropriation chairman Lopez judges funding covers by topics to suit circles this legislation. Gentlemen from Maryland, New Bank, gentlemen from Georgia, gentlemen reserves, gentlemen as we pass. Gentlemen, you are most recognized for 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our first committee on opposition to the Senate's efforts to as a prosecutor, the Senate has put other agencies ahead of those of the American people. Days are back. There's nothing to stop 20 million Americans that will see their health care premiums double or triple. And it's just absolutely nothing to stop provisions in the Constitution Bibles for people in people for the Medicaid program. These cuts will have a resounding impact on individuals and healthcare needs. And we try to just safety net hospitals like Rockefeller and District and federal funded clinics like Green, strong rates, having to eliminate services on people's families, seniors, and children. All of these clinics and hospitals cannot afford to lose health care coverage. On top of that, Mr. Speaker, the legislative branch is going to do better. After the consultation of both sides, including the Supreme Court, in the Senate, in the law, they introduced a bunch of people, includes a provision that will allow the bodies of 8 senators that we know by allowing them to sue the government for billions of dollars of justice, subpoenas their phone records, or sheets a law. That is our families in my district are stretching every single dollar just to pay the rent. Senators want a personal payout in the law firm and theirs to hold them accountable. And every time of this shutdown, I'm fighting healthcare access, Republicans and the Trump administration have tried to inflict suffering as much as possible. It means the administration can help stand constantly. And even for some states, Iowa, these full benefits, the president demanded that they be back. Stepped up and said, they ran to court, Mr. Speaker, to take $6.20 away. Who does that? Explain that to me. Who takes $6.20 away from a single mom or a hungry senior? That's the state of America today. Unbelievable. And here we are to vote on this.
I will be casting my vote as a no. In fact, it will be a hell no tonight.
Gentleman from New York yields back. The gentlelady from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, the distinguished gentlelady from Michigan and chairman of the House Republican Conference, Mr. Ray.
Gentlelady from Michigan is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. God, I love the compassion and the passion on the other side of the aisle. You know, we're worried about taking money out of families. Well, you know what? Y'all can do the right thing and vote yes. If not, you're the ones that are taking money from needy families, not us, because yes means yes, we want to feed the families. We want to have SNAP programs. No means we don't fund those programs. See how simple that is? But keep on with the rhetoric. I mean, it's cute, but the American people don't buy it. So, I mean, listen, for the past 40 days, Democrats have inflicted needless pain on hardworking Americans. They stranded millions of travelers. They denied food assistance for hungry families. And how did they do that? When you vote no to continue funding, that means you deny food stamps for hungry families. No means no, you don't want to pay them. Yes, like the Republicans vote, that means yes, we do want to pay them. So, you know, they left our troops wondering when they'd get their next paycheck. And for what, Mr. Speaker? To use the American people as leverage. Don't take my word for it, take theirs. Leverage for more wasteful Washington spending. Spending that no one other than the radical left ever wanted. And to remind the American people, they wanted $1.5 trillion of their hard-earned tax dollars. But what did they get in return? They got nothing. They got nothing because Republicans refused to waste the American people's money. Not a dime for the radical climate change, not a dollar for tax-funded benefits for illegals, and not one single concession to their radical far-left base. Millions of Americans whose lives were upended by the Democratic shutdown will remember this.
Yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Gentlelady is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you. The American people will remember who held them hostage for petty political reasons and who fought to put America first. So now that this shameful charade is over, House Republicans will continue our work on behalf of the American people. We will restore regular order to the appropriations process. We will continue to fulfill the mandate of the American people, and we will keep delivering results for American people because that's what we're here to do for, not to play politics. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield. Thank you.
Gentlelady from Michigan yields back. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. Before we move on, members are advised to direct their comments to the chair and not to engage in personalities. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the greatest honor really to yield time, 2 minutes time, to the gentlewoman from California, the distinguished Speaker Emerita, Ms. Pelosi, and I might add, probably the epitome of the best speaker that this nation has ever had, in addition to which millions of Americans have health care coverage through the Affordable Care Act because of Speaker Pelosi. And she's also Italian-American. Thank you. I yield. And the grandmother.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentlewoman for yielding, Madam Chair, once and future chair of the Appropriations Committee. Thank her for her leadership and her kind words. I take heed, Mr. Speaker, of your comment to address my remarks to you and not to your colleagues. So I can say to you, perhaps you can tell them, either they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't care about meeting the needs of the American people. Did any one of them vote
Did any one of them vote to have eliminated the need for pre-existing condition in healthcare? Not one of them. Did any one of them vote to say the children get to be 26 until they're 26 years old, they have access to your policy? Not one of them. Did any of them vote to eliminate being a woman as being a pre-existing medical condition? Not one of them. The list goes on and on. Did any one of them vote for the Affordable Care Act, which, Mr. Speaker, you can tell them, was paid for. And then later, when we decided that we could extend the tax credits further so more people and could have more access to care, did anyone vote for that? No. So all they have done is try to eliminate access to health care. The public is catching on. It goes up and down. You might tell them if a woman is born with a child that has a heart condition, she's out of luck with what they are proposing. Father gets a stroke, forget about it. If you have a sibling with a disability, they don't care. And if you have your wife has breast cancer, you've got big bills to pay because they want to take away health care, whether it's Medicaid, half of
Allergy meds were draining my wallet. Hoping it would cure my dog Minnie's obsessive paw licking and scratching. And yeah, it helped for a while. But the second we stopped treatment, everything came rushing back worse than before. I finally realized those meds weren't fixing anything. Then my sister said she'd been using coffee allergy and immune chews for her dog, and I should give them a try. So I got a tub straight away and started her on a daily turkey-flavored chew. She loved them. After just a couple of weeks, I was shocked. The paw licking had stopped and she was hardly scratching. Within a month, all her symptoms had gone. Now I've got a real solution and a much happier dog.
I won't put the curtain back on. I'm close to the war that is needed for that kind of thing. The worst president for children America has ever seen. I yield back.
The gentlelady from California yields back. The gentlelady from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, this gentleman from West Virginia, and member of the Legislative Branch Subcommittee. The gentleman from West Virginia is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to support the Senate amendment to H.R. 5371, which includes full funding for the legislative branch. I'm honored to serve as Vice Chairman of the Legislative Branch Subcommittee, and I'm grateful to Chairman Valadeo for his leadership on that committee. It has been a long road to bring this bill to the floor, a road that was made significantly longer by totally unnecessary Schumer shutdown that we've been living in. The bill before us not only reopens the entire government, but ensures that the House and its supporting agencies remain working for the American people. The bill invests in safety and security. It increases funding to the Capitol Police, provides support for security programs through the House Sergeant at Arms, and is tough on foreign adversaries, including language items, preventing the purchase of technology tied to the Chinese Communist Party. I want to thank Chairman Cole for his leadership and Ranking Member Espaillat and our subcommittee members and their staff and our staff and their work. And I urge my colleagues to vote yes. I yield back.
Gentleman from West Virginia yields back. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
And I give one to the gentlewoman from Ohio, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Water Subcommittee, Ms. Catherine.
The gentlelady from Ohio is recognized for 1 minute.
I thank the ranking member for yielding, Congresswoman DeLauro. Congress today should vote for affordable health insurance for Americans and reduce its rising costs. Instead, in the dead of night, 8 Senate Republicans slipped into this bill a payola for themselves, literally raking millions of dollars to themselves. This payola is called corruption. Corruption. Millions of taxpayer dollars now are slated for Senators Graham, Hagerty, Hawley, Sullivan, Tuberville, Johnson, Lewis, and Blackburn. Each is teed up to personally rake in a minimum of $500,000 up to $1.5 million. Meanwhile, the American people need more affordable health insurance, but these senators with their House allies are lining their own pockets. I say no more tax breaks to billionaires and no payoffs to U.S. senators. This is what happens when power serves itself instead of the people. This isn't leadership, it's corruption disguised as legislation. Will the gentleman yield me 10 seconds?
The gentleman's time has expired.
Let's cleanse America of disgusting corruption. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, distinguished member from Washington and distinguished member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Newsroom.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, for the yielding of time. Mr. Speaker, over 40 days after the Senate Democrats shut down the federal government, we are finally reopening. The result of the shutdown has been thousands of employee furloughs, major disruptions to our air travel, service members going without pay, delayed food assistance for low-income individuals and families, and much, much more. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the House Appropriations Committee, the responsibility of funding the federal government is one that I take very seriously, especially in light of our nation's debt surpassing $38 trillion. The performative tactics that we have watched over the last 7 weeks have truly been a disservice to Americans. And my friends across the aisle should never have put leverage or politics over those people that they represent. But the most important thing right now is that we get back to work, making sure that federal government can provide the essential services that people depend on, and that Congress can continue working to pass full-year funding legislation providing responsible federal spending and fund those essential services. Mr. Speaker, we are making significant progress with the inclusion of these 3 appropriation bills, but our work is far from over. I encourage all my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this deal, vote to end this unnecessary shutdown, and help us get back to the business of hardworking Americans across this country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Minnesota, the distinguished ranking member of the Defense Subcommittee, Ms. McCollum.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, Donald Trump and Republicans control the entire government. For 42 days, Republicans shut it down. Why? Because they refuse to extend tax credits to help millions of Americans afford their health care. And if that wasn't bad enough, President Trump even withheld food assistance during the shutdown. Hunger should never be used as a weapon. The CR continues the Republican health care crisis. The Speaker's already said he won't hold a vote to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits to reduce healthcare costs for Americans. So now my constituents are going to have to choose between heating their homes, feeding their families, or taking their children to the doctor. It's a terrible deal for the American people. Americans deserve an open and transparent government that works for them. They deserve access to affordable health care, nutritious food for their families. And that's what Democrats are fighting for. I wish the President and Republicans would join us in this fight and share our priorities. I yield back.
The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, gentleman from Missouri and member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Alfred.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Cole, for your leadership. Mr. Speaker, in the words of Yogi Berra, this seems like deja vu all over again. 59 days ago, I stood at this very lectern debating the ranking member and friend of mine over the continuing resolution to keep our government open. On September 19th, we did our work in this body, but Senate Democrats chose to hold America hostage with the Schumer shutdown. Democrats in Congress, including the minority whip, shamefully admitted they were using the misery they inflicted on the American people as leverage to achieve their leftist wish list of demands, slowly twisting the heads of the American people in a vice. Tonight, I'm relieved to say the misery of the Schumer shutdown is on our doorstep. Mr. Speaker, this package proves that when Republicans stay united and put America first, we can govern with strength, compassion, and common sense. Tonight, Mr. Speaker, tonight we will reopen the government and liberate the Schumer hostages. And with that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from California, a member of the Appropriations Committee, Mrs. Torres.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition of this deeply flawed bill because the American people deserve better. Since Trump returned to office, Republicans have created an affordability nightmare, a mass transfer of hard-earned taxpayers' dollars to billionaires. In my district alone, more than 350,000 people are facing skyrocketing healthcare costs or cuts to critical services. Republicans shut down the government instead of finding bipartisan solutions to keep care affordable and took a 7-week paid hiatus during doubling healthcare costs for working families, cutting off food assistance right before Thanksgiving, and letting Trump spend his holidays pardoning insurrectionists, enriching billionaires, cozying up to dictators, and building himself a new ballroom, all while taking food away from families in need. And now Senate Republicans want to reward themselves with a taxpayer-funded handout. Shameful, shameful, shameful. House Republicans should be here doing their jobs, not making life harder for working families. I urge a no vote.
Members are advised to direct their comments to the chair and not to engage in personalities toward the president. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, distinguished gentleman from Texas and chairman of the House Budget Committee, Mr. Herring.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the Democrats rejecting a clean CR, shutting the government down, creating all the havoc, the pain and suffering for our fellow Americans is so obviously disingenuous. They never vote against clean CRs. Never. For 4 years under Biden, you all didn't reject one clean CR. Chuck Schumer, in 44 years, never rejected a clean CR. So, Mr. Speaker, what's it about? They say policy. They put forward a proposal, Mr. Chairman. They said it's about health care for illegals. They repealed work requirements for able-bodied adults. That's an 80-20 issue in this country. They put forward a spending bill of $1.5 trillion. That's twice the discretionary budget. Mr. Chairman, they'd be spending more money than we've ever spent outside of COVID. That's their counter proposal. It's not only disingenuous, it's unserious. So what's it about? It's about politics. It's about resisting and fighting and undermining Donald Trump. And here's the deal. They're not fighting and resisting Donald Trump. They're undermining the will of the American people to get Trump the presidency.
Yield the gentleman an additional 15 seconds.
Yield is recognized.
They undermine the will of the people who overwhelmingly elected President Trump and gave him the mandate of the America First agenda. So you're not resisting us. You're posturing and placating the radical left.
I've never been one to sit back and hope for a good outcome. I want to eat service, not when I can roll up my sleeves and get the job done myself. What am I becoming?
Mistletoe Murders, now streaming on Hallmark Plus. Hallmark Plus on YouTube Primetime Channel. Start your free trial.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New Jersey, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Mr. Colon.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want my colleagues to understand that when the Affordable Care Act was adopted, it was adopted for middle-class people who could not afford health insurance. They had no other options. They had nowhere to go. Just would end up without health insurance. I have constituents coming to me now crying because their insurance is going from $500 a month to $1,500 a month. That's an increase of $1,000 a month. Who can afford that? No one in the middle class. At the end of 2024 last year, during a Democratic administration, the number of insured Americans was at a record high of about 95%. Democrats worked for that. Then Trump comes in, Republicans in with their big ugly bill, and they make cuts to Medicaid, cuts to hospitals and nursing homes, and no funding to extend the ACA tax credits. So what's going to happen? More and more people have no health insurance. That's the bottom line. They will not have health insurance. And the Republicans don't seem to care. But I want you to know that the Democrats care and will continue to fight for you.
gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentleman from Guam, my very good friend, Mr. Boydman.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you to my friend from Oklahoma. Mr. Speaker, Guam is home to 3,372 federal employees, more than 43,000 SNAP recipients, and over 9,000 WIC recipients, and more than 20,000 veterans, all of whom have been impacted by this shutdown. If we continue to put politics over our country, my constituents will continue to suffer. Simply put, this gets us back on track, ensures funding for those who need it is in place, and turns the lights back on. This bill ensures that families receive the assistance they need, veterans have access to care, and our island is reimbursed for the sacrifice we made to keep federal programs running during this difficult time. I urge my colleagues to support this bill and to deliver for American people. The time for deliberation is when the government is open and people have the assistance they need. I reserve.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Massachusetts, the distinguished ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. May.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, gentlelady. Mr. Speaker, the destruction that is taking place in America's healthcare system during these 10 months is unbelievable. They've eviscerated the National Institutes of Health. They've cut back on the Centers for Disease Control. Billions of dollars for Medicaid for a tax cut for the wealthy. Wait till you see what's coming to America's hospitals after the next election. It's so contrived they waited until after the election to implement it. 24 million people are likely to lose health insurance if we don't implement these tax credits as suggested. The emergency room is going to be back in full force now, because this is where people will go for their health care. All of this is taking place to justify a tax cut for people at the very top. And here's the real kicker. Our Republican colleagues of fiscal probity borrowed money for the tax cuts. In 2017, it's $2.4 trillion. In the last tax bill, almost $4 trillion is borrowed for a tax cut for wealthy people. Whatever happened to the fiscal soundness that the Republican Party used to lecture everybody on? I yield back.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Newsroom.
The gentleman is recognized.
Chairman Cole for his leadership. Mr. Speaker, this book, a library, we have the fiction side over there and the nonfiction side over here. The only thing that's not fiction, however, is their consistent criticism of the healthcare system known as Obamacare that they created. That's what this fight seems to be about. And that's the one end of things that is truthful. Today, Mr. Speaker, after 6 weeks of lots of pain and no gain, they're going to vote again to keep the government closed. They're going to vote again. They're whipping their votes so they would not be paying federal workers. They won't be funding essential programs like SNAP and undo the chaos at our airports. Okay, I spent the last 43 days in my district talking with these groups, talking with SNAP, seeing their pain, realizing it, understanding it. Some of my colleagues said the same, but shockingly, they're still going to vote to keep the government closed and keep this funding from being delivered. It's time to fix the damage the Democrats have caused. With this vote tonight, Republicans will restore SNAP payments. We'll get TSA and air traffic control.
Yield the gentleman an additional 15 seconds.
And you know what, thank you, Chairman. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? Yesterday was Veterans Day. Veterans didn't fight for the red. They didn't fight for the blue. They fought for the red, white, and blue. Maybe tonight we can follow their example. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Gilman.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill fails to address the fundamental needs of families across our country. Americans have made it crystal clear that affordability is their #1 concern.
President Trump and Republicans promised to lower costs on day one, and that's been one big broken promise. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing because Republicans refuse to extend the ACA tax credits, causing healthcare costs to go up for everyone. Over 4 million people will be forced off their coverage next year because it's too expensive. This is on top of soaring prices for food, energy, and housing. It's unacceptable for the wealthiest nation in the world. Republicans who say they support affordable health care should be standing up for their constituents rather than following in line behind President Trump. I'm going to keep fighting for affordable health care and lower costs. The American people deserve better. Thank you.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 90 seconds to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. Good.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Throughout this sham and shame of the shutdown, we've heard so many lies from the Democrats. And over the last 45 days, and especially the last 45 minutes, I've heard them say this is an evil bill. Republicans don't care about the disabled. Trump is the worst president in history for children. They've said that Republicans are to blame for the fentanyl crisis. Republicans shouldn't take photos with veterans. January 6th, of course they mentioned that. Republicans are corrupt, and they've said that Republicans are starving kids. What they haven't said is the one thing that this bill does, which is open up the government. Not one Democrat is getting up here saying this bill opens the government. So let me remind them and my colleagues and the American people, this bill opens the government tonight. And the American people have Republicans to thank for ending this shutdown and opening the government. I urge a yes vote. I am proud to vote yes. And I am so disappointed in my Democratic colleagues, because for the life of me, throughout my time in the House, I've heard them talk about how wonderful it is to keep the government open and that a shutdown is so bad it can never happen. And tonight they won't even admit that this bill opens the government, and this is what we need for this country tonight. So I urge a yes vote, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Barragan.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I propose the Republican spending bill that makes health care more expensive for hardworking Americans. While Republicans were on their 7-week-plus vacation, all our constituents were receiving notices of premium increases. A constituent of mine, a lifelong educator, has been told that her premiums will jump from $383 to nearly $1,000. Meanwhile, Trump and Republicans can find money for a fancy ballroom. They can give tax breaks to billionaires. And they even included millions of dollars in cash payouts in this bill for 8 Republican senators. If anyone else in government gave themselves millions in taxpayer money, they would go to prison. But for Americans trying to afford health care, not $1 in tax breaks. House Democrats are united against this corrupt bill and will keep fighting to protect America's health care. I urge my colleagues to reject this bill. I go back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, it's been an interesting debate. Frankly, as a couple of my colleagues have suggested, a lot of the rhetoric on the other side hasn't had much to do with the legislation in front of us. My friends chose all on their own to shut the government down 43 days ago. During that time, soldiers have had to worry about getting paid. The only reason they were paid is the President of the United States managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat twice. We had military families completely unpaid. We have our air traffic controllers. Most of them flew here today or yesterday or in recent days. They're keeping the skies as safe as they can, but they haven't gotten paid. We're in this Capitol building. We're under the protection of the Capitol Police. They do a splendid job. They keep doing their job. They haven't been paid. We have people that are in desperate need of some of the services that this government has promised to give them, SNAP and WIC, that's at risk unless we pass this legislation tonight. So we can have all these debates about all these other issues. As a matter of fact, my friend the Speaker, his counterpart in the United States Senate, the Majority Leader, and the President said, when you open the government, we'll be happy to talk to you about some of these issues. but you're not going to shut down the government, punish the American people, put people's lives at risk, and think we're going to sit down and negotiate with you under those circumstances. That is not going to happen. We told you 43 days ago, from bitter experience, government shutdowns don't work. They never achieve the objective that you announced. And guess what? You haven't achieved that objective yet, and you're not going to. We did the same thing twice, so I'm not saying that we've got clean hands over here. You guys did it on DACA, didn't work here, not going to work here. Only people that have suffered have been the American people, the people that we're all here to serve. So let's keep the focus on getting the government back.
Spectrum Mobile helps us stay connected because when I'm on the road, we can't go to bed without seeing each other's face. So that video chat powered by Spectrum Mobile keeps us connected. It's so important to our marriage.
Who knows Spectrum Mobile's out here saving marriages?
People that rely on WIC and SNAP don't have to worry about another government shutdown between now and September 30th of next year. The Ledge Branch bill will make sure that the Capitol Police and everybody else and staff that allow this chamber to function don't have to worry about not getting paid until September 30th of next year. And obviously, military construction and more importantly, veterans rely on benefits commitments we've made. Passage of this bill, make sure that those commitments we fulfill between now and September 30th next year. And we buy the time to sit down and rationally and responsibly negotiate other appropriations bills that we can bring, I hope, on a bipartisan basis to this floor to keep the government open. So I would just ask my friends to reflect on that. I hope some of you feel the weight of that decision. I know you do. And hope you can vote to keep the government open. There's no excuse to shut it down. The United States Senate operated to keep it open in a bipartisan fashion. Now, it took them a long time to do it, but they got there. Let's not follow that example. Let's follow that when they finally got the job done, they sent us a product. It's not a perfect product. It's got some things in it I don't like. But frankly, if we kept the government open, we would have never been in this situation in the first place. So I would just ask my friends to remember their constituents. I know they think about them. I know they're serious about the points they make. Reopen the government, raise your issues. Let's see if we can come to a negotiated settlement. But let's not punish the American people. A no vote on this, again, means soldiers and military families don't get paid. A no vote means that people in need of SNAP and WIC might not get it. A no vote means the people that allow us to come here and debate and work won't get paid either. I can go down the list, of course. It's pretty simple. This is a vote about two things. Opening the government of the United States, which you willfully tried to shut down, fortunately did not succeed in that in this chamber, but some of your colleagues, using arcane Senate rules, didn't. But finally came to their senses. You ought to pay attention to those people. They said enough is enough. Let's reopen the government. I would urge my colleagues to do that today, and I hope it's done in a bipartisan way. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves, and members are reminded to direct their remarks only to the chair. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from Massachusetts, the distinguished Democratic whip, Ms. Clark.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you. Donald Trump said the cost of living crisis is fake news, a con job by the Democrats. Mr. Speaker, 60% of Americans can't afford a basic quality of life. 45% have had to skip a doctor's appointment or a prescription because they can't afford it. 41% are living with medical debt. The American people are simply not making it. Not only is that crisis real, it is a crisis that Republicans promised to solve. Voters believe them. And now, after a 54-day hiatus, What are Republicans doing? They're voting to raise the cost of living. They're voting to make it even harder to get by. Not by some marginal amount. They are doubling, tripling, and quadrupling monthly premiums. And what's the defense? They are looking people in the eye and flat out gaslighting them. Costs aren't up, costs are down. Trump says, I don't want to hear about the affordability. Well, get used to hearing about it. You're going to hear about it a lot because people are feeling it every single day. People can't make rent. They can't afford their prescriptions. They can't afford to take their kid to a doctor. They can't find childcare, and when they find it, they can't afford that either. Grocery and utility bills are spiking. This is the crisis of our time, and it's about to get exponentially worse because the GOP's craven allegiance to billionaires over working people. The cost of living crisis is not fake news. It's not a perception issue. It is daily life for the people that we all represent. So let's do something about it. Let's reject this budget. Let's stop the healthcare cuts. Let's stop the premium hikes. Let's stop the hospital closures. And let's stop the billionaire giveaways. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, this bill fails to prevent healthcare costs from skyrocketing. It fails to address the crisis of affordability. It fails to keep our promise to veterans. It provides $1 million jackpot to 8 senators. It fails to protect Congress's power of the purse. I encourage my colleagues to vote no, and I have the honor of yielding 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, our distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Hakeem Jeffries.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the distinguished gentlelady, the top Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, for yielding and for her steadfast leadership on behalf of working families, hard-working American taxpayers in the great state of Connecticut and all across America. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to this woefully inadequate spending bill that fails to decisively address the Republican health care crisis and fails to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for tens of millions of Americans. Mr. Speaker, before I say anything further, let me say to our men and women in uniform, to our active duty troops, to our hardworking federal employees, to our civil servants, to our TSA agents, to our Capitol Police, to our staff here in the House of Representatives, to our air traffic controllers, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the American people each and every day. And it's our promise to all of you that we will continue to work hard to make sure that you are treated with the dignity and respect that you deserve. In a year in which the Trump administration has gone after hard-working federal employees relentlessly, including firing more than 200,000 federal employees prior to the start of the Trump Republican shutdown. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Donald Trump and Republicans made the decision to shut the government down, the longest shutdown in American history, would rather do that than provide health care that's affordable to working class Americans, middle class Americans, and hard-working American taxpayers. All across the country, I'm certain that there are people in America asking the question, where do we go from here? House Democrats have a simple answer. We will continue to fight to lower the high cost of living. House Democrats will continue to fight to address the health care crisis that Republicans have created. And House Democrats will continue to fight to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for tens of millions of Americans. This fight is not over. We're just getting started. We'll fight today, We'll fight tomorrow. We'll fight this week. We'll fight next week. We'll fight this month. We'll fight next month. We'll fight until we win this battle for the American people. That's our commitment as House Democrats. And there's only two ways that this fight will end. Only two ways, Mr. Speaker, that this fight will end. Either Republicans finally decide to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits this year, or the American people will throw Republicans out of their jobs next year and end the speakership of Trump once and for all. That's how this fight ends. Mr. Speaker, during this painful Trump Republican shutdown, what we've seen is two different philosophies in terms of how to govern for the American people. The Democratic Party philosophy is clear. We are ready, willing, and able to find bipartisan common ground anytime, any place, to enact spending agreements that actually make life better for the American people. But in order to do that, we need to have partners on the other side of the aisle who are actually willing to find a bipartisan path forward. But what we've seen from Republicans from the very beginning of this presidency is a my way or the highway approach. That's been the Republican philosophy. Jam your extremism down the throats of the American people. That's what we've seen from day one of this presidency. That's the reason why the government has been shut down by Republicans and Donald Trump for the longest period of time in American history. What have we seen from Donald Trump and Republicans during this shutdown? A consistent unwillingness to actually find common ground in order to make life better for the American people. Donald Trump, during the shutdown, found the time to play golf week after week after week. Donald Trump found the time to pardon serial fraudsters like George Santos and Rudolph Giuliani. Donald Trump found the time to meet with the Chinese Communist Party. Donald Trump found the time to destroy the East Wing of the White House. Donald Trump found the time to extort $230 million from the Department of Justice so he could line his pockets. Donald Trump found the time to bail out Argentina with $40 billion. Donald Trump found the time to rip away SNAP benefits from 42 million Americans. Mr. Speaker, these extremists are not like us. They're not like us. In the midst of a healthcare crisis and a cost of living crisis that is very real, despite what Donald Trump, the leader of the Republican Party, has to say, he claims there is no affordability crisis in the United States of America. But why would anyone believe anything that Donald Trump or Republicans have to say on this issue? Because throughout 2024, before the election, Republicans in the House and in the Senate and Donald Trump on the campaign trail spent all of their time saying that costs were going to go down on day one. But costs haven't gone down.
Okay, I'm going to log out.
Republicans haven't done a damn thing to
Thanks
lower
for
the
coming.
cost of living. Costs haven't gone down in this country. Costs have gone up. Inflation is on the way up. Housing costs out of control. Grocery costs